It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for Friday, the 2nd of July. I'm Michael Groff. A lot of clouds, even a few light showers in spots around the valley this morning. We should see some sun by this afternoon, leading to more showers and storms popping up across the state. What about the weather for the upcoming holiday weekend and next week? How long will this monsoon moisture continue? We'll talk about all of that and everything else in just a moment. But first, it's Friday, so that means it's Photo Friday here, where we take a look at some of the photos and or videos that you guys have submitted, and we have a lot to go through here. First up, Andrew, along the I-17 on Tuesday, caught a couple of cool shots there looking toward the mountains. This one is from Greg near Tonopah. Then David and Susan Nielsen were on a hike earlier this week, and we love to see your hiking pictures, of course. Please be safe out there with all the heat. Bring plenty of water with you, but boy, are those some really awesome pictures. Then, as is usually the case, Beth Mendoza sends in a great sunset picture from Tuesday night, and another one from Thursday night, where some smoke blew in from some of those wildfires just to the north of the area. And that was almost immediately followed by a weak little thunderstorm that tried to pop up there over the North Valley. And so thanks, Beth, for that. Then my one and only Michelle has a couple of pictures that she took on her way to work. Cool cloud formations. And speaking of that, our good friend Ryan Seek sends in his weekly submissions here, including a bunch of sunset pictures and what he likes to call cloud porn. Those are his words, not mine. And I wouldn't recommend putting that into a search engine, especially if you're at work. Could be pretty dangerous. I'm not responsible for what happens for that. And as always, those are some sensational photos, but we're not done yet. He also sent in a time-lapse video. So this is, again, out in the desert. This is south of Phoenix on the I-8. I think this is pretty much right along the Maricopa-Pinal County line, or pretty close to that. So, got to give you an idea of where that's coming from. So, thank you once again to Ryan and to everyone for submitting for Photo Friday. And if you want to get in on it, you can do so. groffshow@gmail.com is my email address. That is GROFFshow@gmail.com for Photo Friday and your cloud porn pictures. All right, taking a look at the Almanac from yesterday. 107 degrees the afternoon high. 85 was the morning low. And that's pretty close to where we ought to be for this time of year. We also did pick up a trace of rain for the second straight day at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. And a few locations in the overnight hours actually picked up some measurable rain, a little thunder, some gusty winds as well. And as we take a look outside right now, here at 9:15 a.m., yes, some clouds and some light showers are around. We're sitting at 91 degrees at Sky Harbor, but it's muggy. Dew point up to 63, relative humidity 36%. The winds are light and the barometer is steady. Temperatures out there right now, mostly in the low 80s to low 90s across the metro. And taking a peek at the radar right now, there are a few very light showers over parts of the East Valley. These are drifting to the west-northwest, not moving very quickly though. And not really going to be a whole lot of measurable rain with this. I doubt you'll get much more than the sidewalks wet, but we could see a continuation of these light showers through at least the rest of the morning hours before we start to see some breaks in the clouds. The upper air look, high pressure is beginning to expand into the greater southwest from the southern plain states. We have that big ridge that brought all the record heat over the Pacific Northwest. That is now drifting into the northern plains and will be centered over the Dakotas and Minnesota today. So the record-breaking heat across Canada is slowly winding down, and that is some good news as the weather pattern is beginning to change. Here's the watch warning map, and those excessive heat warnings and heat advisories are beginning to disappear from the Northwest and the Northern Rockies, but we still have a few up there, and that will continue for today. Some flood watches, a couple of flood warnings east of us across parts of New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma. Here in Arizona, specifically Maricopa County, we have an air quality alert once again. The convective outlook for today, a marginal risk of severe storms along the Carolina coast, as well as up around Philadelphia and New York City. And the tropics. Interesting stuff here in the Atlantic Basin. Elsa is now a Category 1 hurricane. Top winds up to 75 miles per hour, but it is continuing that blazing fast forward motion, moving to the west-northwest at 29 miles per hour. Got hurricane warnings for the Windward Islands as well as parts of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And this is expected to continue that west-northwesterly track, but it should weaken as it has interaction with land and is going to continue to experience that shear, thus the very fast forward motion. And the Hurricane Center believes this will track across Cuba, then up through Key West and somewhere near Fort Myers, and then crossing just south of Tampa Bay and up toward Jacksonville by the middle part of next week. But I advise you, of course, this forecast track is almost certainly going to change, so just keep apprised of the latest. And the precipitation outlook, this is valid through next Friday morning from the WPC. Rain amounts in Phoenix, pretty light, under 1/10 of an inch. Heavier totals over in the eastern mountains. As always, your amount will vary. This is just an average across the area. And indications that we will eventually start to dry out once again. I know you don't want to hear that, and we're going to heat up too. We'll talk about that as we dive into modeling. Here we go. This is the GFS, the 06Z run, valid at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Ridging from the southern plains, beginning to build in across the southwest. A very light southeasterly flow aloft today. We are already seeing that with our little showers around this morning, moving from southeast to northwest. So down at the surface today, mostly cloudy this morning. A few showers around, maybe even a rumble of thunder. And then we should start to see some decrease in the clouds by this afternoon, becoming partly cloudy. High temperatures today between about 100 to 105. And widely scattered showers and thunderstorms will develop over eastern and southeast Arizona, making their way toward the south central deserts, including Phoenix this afternoon. But if these clouds hang around, I think the atmosphere would be fairly stable, so they'll run out of gas as they come on in here. Kind of like what we saw the last couple of days. Also, steering flows remain fairly light aloft, so storms are not going to have a lot of forward motion. They'll generally be perpetuated by outflow boundaries that spawn new storms. And as we look at the HRRR at 4 o'clock this afternoon, this is the simulated radar product, and it does show an area of showers and storms moving our direction. But again, I do think that with kind of some more stable air in the lower deserts, these things are going to start to fall apart as they get closer to us. Not to say we couldn't see a shower or storm tonight, though. And let's go ahead and take a look at a forecast sounding today at 5 o'clock. This is coming off of the HRRR again. And I know when we show these to some of you, this just looks like a bunch of Klingon. It's all gibberish. But one thing that stands out here is that dry air at about the 400 millibar level and above. And so that tells us that we're not going to see organized, tall convection. We're not going to see that deep convection that we like to get. And the lower part of the atmosphere also kind of dry, but that would support any storms that do form, being capable of producing some strong, damaging, straight-line winds potentially. D-Cape values are pretty high up there, over 1,200 joules per kilogram once again. So that's one thing that we will look for today. Any storms that pop up, I think, would be brief, but capable of producing some strong outflow boundaries, which could perpetuate new storms. Unfortunately, storm motion will be light. Those Corfiti downshear values, storms will not have much forward momentum to them, as those are very low. Also, not a lot of instability in the atmosphere. Cape values only around 500 joules per kilogram or so. And even though there is some moisture in the air, precipitable water values are good, up around 1.6 inches. Mixing ratios are okay, but this is just not an ideal day for deep convection or organized, strong or severe storms across the area. Certainly not a great setup for heavy rain. Just some brief rain and mostly wind and lightning producers from storms again today. Then overnight tonight, isolated showers and storms continue. Lows upper 70s to mid 80s. Tomorrow, again, kind of a similar setup. Southeasterly flow aloft. That's good news. Humidity levels remain elevated. Chance of showers and storms, partly sunny sky. High temperatures still around 100 to 104. We'll put about a 30% chance of rain into the forecast here. Not exactly a robust monsoon, but this is probably just our best chance of storms for the next couple of days. And then on Sunday, for the 4th of July, isolated afternoon and evening showers and storms continue here in the lower deserts. They'll be more scattered over the mountains. High temperatures around 102 to 106 as we start to see some drier air beginning to intrude here. And that will continue on Monday as this ridge continues to shift further to the west. Maybe a bit more of a westerly component to the winds aloft. And isolated showers and storms still possible here in Phoenix on Monday, but that's about it, because after that, I think the air is going to dry out and the mid-levels will be just too stable to support thunderstorm activity here in the lower deserts for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, as the ridge is just going to continue to build and shift a little bit further to the north. High temperatures somewhere between about 105 to 110 each day. Now, here's a week from today. This is Friday, the 9th of July, and we've got this ridge getting pretty close to 600 decameters centered over Nevada, and the flow aloft is more out of the east or maybe even northeast at that point. So any storms that do form over the high country would be pushed toward the lower deserts. I think steering flow would actually start to increase, but this is a really intense ridge, obviously, with upper heights near 600 decameters. So again, the mid-levels of the atmosphere are pretty warm, and that's kind of stable. But we can't rule out at least some isolated storms in the afternoon and evening here in the Phoenix area late next week returning. So that is at least something. But high temperatures would be kind of toasty, at least around 110. And perhaps warmer than that, especially in the warmest desert spots of southeast California and southwest Arizona. Then, as we go out 10 days, this is Sunday, the 11th of July, and still have a very intense ridge to the west of us across the Great Basin and California, kind of an east or northeast flow here, and a trough over the nation's midsection. An interesting setup because some energy might break away from that trough and get caught up in this flow here. And the GFS is being extremely aggressive on moisture here, showing scattered to numerous, maybe even widespread shower and storm activity out here by next weekend. But I'll believe it when I see it. Still, that is kind of an interesting look, kind of similar to what we had earlier this week, although the ridge is centered a little further south than it was. So this would support at least a halfway decent chance of storms getting back into the lower deserts next weekend. We'll just have to see. And then looking at rainfall for Phoenix over the next couple of weeks, coming off of the GFS ensemble. This runs out through mid-July. Every member does have measurable rain in here. The ensemble mean up around 2/3 of an inch. And we'll just have to take it a day at a time. But no doubt that some monsoon activity will be around the state for most of the period. And then temperatures off the national blend of models trending up just a little bit. Highs getting pretty close to 110 as we get to next week. Overnight lows mainly in the 80s to around 90. And that's going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video is scheduled for Monday morning, but updates possible before that if conditions warrant. If you enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe, like, share, and click that notification bell so that whenever a brand new video is posted, you'll get the notice. Your comments, questions, and suggestions always encouraged as well. I thank you guys so much for watching. It is greatly appreciated. You guys be safe, stay cool and hydrated out there. Watch your kids around the swimming pool. And hey, it's the 4th of July weekend. A lot of crazies out there. So be especially vigilant on the roadways. And have yourselves a great Friday and a wonderful 4th of July weekend.